Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Cold Johannesburg. Hope you guys are doing well and welcome to today's video. That we are on the right angle because I'm not doing this twice. Anyways, so I'm sure you've seen with all of my social media, my big sister just graduated on the 6th of May with her PhD. Went down to Durban that morning at 8:30. Yeah, my flight was at 8:30 because the graduation was at 2. Flew down, went to the graduation, flew back in because I was supposed to have a consult the next morning. Not a consult, yeah, it's a consult if you go into the client's offices. Okay, anyways, yeah, so I did that. Then turns out that meeting was cancelled before I actually even came back to Joburg. I could have stayed and came back like the next day because my boss was very chill about it. She's very chill about things like that. Anyways, yeah, so her study confused, well, her outfit confused a lot of people. They thought she was giving EFF vibes with the uniform. She specifically didn't wear a red one because she was like, there's no way I'm wearing a red one because it's going to speak of that. But she wore a domestic worker's uniform simply because her study was actually in relation to that. Not in relation to that, she was writing from the perspective of domestic workers. When you read that study and when you were with her as she was doing it, you'd understand that actually the domestic workers were the voice behind that whole study. And one of the things that it actually did, which is different from many studies around the work of the domestic workers, was to speak on the fact that they actually run your household. They are the architects of your household. They are the architects of how your children will grow up and be. I remember the way that my little sister Ape used to speak when she lived with a certain domestic worker or nanny, as you put it, and the way that she spoke with a different one. They are architects of not just your child, but not just your home, but even your child's upbringing. Yes, you may tell them, this is how I want my child to be raised, these are the values that I want instilled in my child, but they will bring in all that there is. And that's what they are. Even with Ulumka, most of her perspectives, especially when she was still younger, were taken from the people that raised her. And for many people, employers, they forget that. And I've seen it, and it's even confirmed in Tobega's my sister, in Tobega's research, that employers forget this. And it's especially, I liked the fact that she wasn't too focused on the usual race issues, but she pointed out that it specifically employees stated that it was very difficult and mostly the worst situation being employed by a black employer. And when you go back and you analyze it even deeper, it says that, for me, it said that a person who's oppressed in their own way will try at any opportunity given to oppress another person that they may seem to have power over them. And that's what maybe causes a lot of the narratives of domestic workers to say, I would never work for a black person. And it's not just from her research. I've heard it from people even in the community, people that I've worked it even in practice, who say, I would rather not. And it's not just in relation to how they treat you, but the pay, the hours that you work, the ignoring of boundaries. You find a nanny or a domestic worker being called to now be a part of things, rituals at home, things that are supposed to be a family thing. They are being forced to be a part of it, ignoring the fact that our cultures and our traditions are very different, and it's very important that these things remain sacred and that you're not just being drawn out to come, but you are involved in that thing simply because you're employed by these people. You've seen that. And it also drew a picture for me to say that we actually all experience the same things. domestic work is work, and there are employees in as much as professional people that are in boardrooms are actually employees. And we get to experience the same things. We get to experience oppression. We get to experience underpayment at times. We get to experience all of the things that they experience simply because employers sometimes have this idea that they have power over certain people. They have power because they pay you money. But what happens on the day that your domestic worker in January decides, I'm not going back to that house after the holidays. I've spent all the year only going home once a month, because that's what a lot of people actually say their employers give them, especially the stay in working in a black household. I remember mom used to work for, I won't name names, but a very prominent rugby player. She had her weekends to herself. She knocked off at 4, started work at 7:30, I think, and but she had the normal working hours. She had her 1 hour lunch. She had UIF. She was registered. Tell me, comment down below and tell me how many of your employees have you ever registered as an employer. I'm sure I'm not going to get those comments, but think of it. It's never there. People never register. Once you are employed, the act is very clear. If you employ a person for more than 24 hours a month, they are regarded as an employee. And if you have a dominant impression of a person, their time, their skill, whatever it is, they are an employee, and they are entitled, therefore, to the rights of getting their UIF, getting their hourly pays under the Minimum Wage Act, getting all of these things. Yet we see it with domestic workers and people in sectors that are ignored, not being given these same opportunities, and people that ignore this and say it's normal, it's a thing, they don't register us, I don't want to be registered because I don't want a deduction. Well, you are not just entitled to a deduction, but it's a responsibility that your employer must do, and you have that right not exercised simply because your employer says they don't want to be a part of that. They don't want you to be a part of the system, and it's ignored. It's acceptable, even by people that are in professions. I know a lot of people who are domestic work employers who are in professions that speak for justice, but don't deal with their employers in the same sense of giving them justice. And it's quite sad. It's quite frightening. And it's also not just frightening, but it actually annoys me. But I like what T did in the study, where she reminded them of their power, and they actually said, yes, we do have the power over these situations more than how they are deemed to be voiceless, of which they are not. So that's what this week was. I did not plan this talk. That's what this week was. And yeah, comment down below and let me know, what do you think stops a lot of people from exercising their employment rights? I'll tell you. Reason why I never exercised my employment rights in certain situations where I felt that I had this, it's because I know how the wheels of justice take forever to turn, and justice delayed, in my opinion, is justice denied. So I was like, I'm not about to take these people to CCMA, where I'll only get a date in 30 days and where they will get a notification immediately that I just reported them, but will only get an opportunity to be heard after a very long time, where I'll be subjected to such mistreatment for the rest of the time, because I mean, you're not going to take CCMA with you to work. So that was my reasoning behind it. And I also, as an employee, as I actually did work part-time from the age of 15 until I think it was my second year of varsity as a domestic worker in a resort. And at that time, I didn't know much of employee rights. The only thing that I checked was, when are you allowed to start working in South Africa? And it said 15, and I said, I'm going to be working this December. That's the only thing I knew. But all of those things were never a thing that I understood. And that's what stopped me from exercising my rights before. And also, when you are in a situation where you feel that, okay, if I exercise these rights, I'm I'm not going to get what I need, which is experience, which is growth in my career, which is this and this and this. And so that's why I've never exercised them. What would be your reason? Comment down below and let me know. Okay, this video is getting way too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one, and have a blessed week.